So I've had a lot of comments and messages about how some of you feel like, crying. You cry so much that you actually feel pity, self-pity. You feel like it's unproductive, that you're weak, and that it's all a waste of time, and you really frown upon it. And it just couldn't be further from the truth. Honestly, it's I just made a video about crying for men, so it's obviously very fitting to make this one, but there's a lot of strength within crying. There's a lot of happiness within sadness. It's the contrast of life. It's the yin and yang. Lao Tzu framed it perfectly. You just don't know happiness unless you know sadness. You don't know how good it is to smile when you know how pitiful it is to cry. If it feels like you're pitiful to cry, it just means that you've suppressed it for too long. There's too many tears in there that you just haven't allowed yourself to express over the years. You're now setting some space for it, and you may have gone months crying and you feel like enough's enough. Just think of all the years that you have lived, and it's not that you have to cry every single day, every single of your life, but if you've suppressed it for so long, it's good you're making space to express it. But it's like people trying to lose weight, and they try this diet, and after 4 weeks they're like, oh yeah, but nothing's happened. It takes time, especially if you've neglected this kind of stuff for a while. It takes time to release emotions, to express emotions. And if you honestly really feel like you've cried and cried and cried, and it's gone on for years, and you can't get an end to it, then maybe there is a message there for you. Maybe you're holding on to something, you're attached to something that is bringing the pain and the suffering. Then it's an ego thing. Then you're attaching yourself to something, whatever it is, there's an attachment, and that's the attachment that's causing the sadness. But that's a completely different topic. We're talking about here now crying as a source of strength, crying as a source of freedom. This is what we're talking about. Expressing the suppression, expressing the depression. That's what we're doing here with crying. If you're crying and it's going on for too long, then look at what you're crying about. But if the tears are from suffering and trauma and just bad life experience, then that needs to be expressed. If the crying is from attachment and construing stories about why this and why that, that's ego attachment, and that's completely different, and that's something you need to work on. Crying is a source of freedom.